Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Saturday, August the 9th, which makes this the news and events for Friday, August the 8th, day 1262 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. And maybe a ceasefire is on the table. We shall see. So we're going to start with a discussion of that. In the meantime, I see the peeps are coming in. There's my buddy Weibo. Hey, Daryl Roberts, how you doing? Anthony Tommy Tom, I'm plugging along, buddy. There's Little Red Sunflower, who's one of our sponsors last night. Hey, Pete. Morn. Thanks for joining the Patreon, Morn. I sure do appreciate it. Hey, Mad Mike. Hey, G2. Hey, Andy. How's everybody doing? Hey, Gary. TGIF. Hey, Dawn. So the English club, my English-speaking club, has been meeting over at Hedro Park. And so I have ribs in the oven right now. I'm slow cooking some ribs for tomorrow's barbecue. Hello, Henry. Tin Cup. Hey, Maggie May. Hey, Eli. Nice to see you. Hey, Mike now. Oh, Anthony, these are going to be good ribs. Let me tell you, pal. These are going to be good ribs. Yes, they are. Yes, they certainly are. All right. Thomas Johnson, how do you do? Or is it Janssen? Sorry, Janssen. How's everybody doing? I didn't see Akron come in. Is Akron in here yet? Is Akron here? You gold mining 100 miles from anybody. Nice. They're pork, Henry. They are pork. Hey, Neil Steven. I don't even know where to get beef ribs in this country. They do not sell them at the Mega Mart. So I don't even know where to get beef ribs, honestly. Hey, Akron 67 sent me a note. I just saw it, pal. How do I join the Patreon? So the best thing to do is download the Patreon app, make an account, and then look me up and subscribe to me on Patreon. It is just that simple. There should be a link in my bio. If you look at the bio, there should be a link there to the Patreon. So guys, I could not do this without the Patreon supporters. I could not do this without the daily sponsors. And our daily sponsor for tonight is first-time sponsor, Avenir. I hope I'm saying that something close to right. So big thanks to Avenir, or Avi. And big thanks to all the Patreon supporters that make my life in Ukraine possible. As you know, yesterday I had one of the most satisfying days, like really an eye-opening educational experience for me. And my initial thoughts on that experience are posted on the Patreon now for any Patreon folks. And none of that is going to make it into TikTok. Like, it's just not. That's all behind the scenes kind of stuff here. So, all right. Hey, Kath Brown. Hey, Mike Kelly. So, guys, let's start with last night's missile and drone attacks on Ukraine. The Russians sent 108 drones. 4 of them were jet-powered Garon 2s. They travel at 600 kilometers an hour, and they are hard to shoot down. Ukraine shot 3 out of 4 of them down last night. Good shooting, Ukraine. All up, it was 82 out of 108 drones, or a 77% interception rate, which is pretty good shooting. Now, the big news today, of course, is on the Trump-Putin-Zelensky meeting. It looks like it's just going to be Trump and Putin. The last update that I got on this was just an hour and a half ago. The Kyiv Post published a breaking news story that a meeting between Putin and Trump has been scheduled for late next week. Now, where they're going to have it, I can't even imagine. There was talk that it would be held in Rome at the Vatican. Well, how the fuck are you going to get Putin to go to Rome? I mean, the criminal court was enacted by a statute we call the Rome Statute for a reason. The International Criminal Court was founded in Rome. I cannot imagine with an ICC arrest warrant on your head, you're going to go to Rome. That doesn't seem like a thing to me. The UAE has also been mentioned. I think that's much more likely. The United Arab Emirates, Trump does business with them, and of course, Putin does business with them as well. One of the big things that the United Arab Emirates is currently getting a lot of credit for in the press is returning stolen Ukrainian children. Now, there are tens of thousands of stolen Ukrainian children, and the United Arab Emirates is able to broker the return of a couple dozen. Why? Because there's an old habit of hostage taking and ransom in this culture. And so the United Arab Emirates are returning to Ukraine the children whose parents or families have lots of money and they can take a cut of it. Please, the United Arab Emirates isn't doing anybody any fucking favors, right? It's the old notion of the hostage taking and the ransom. So UAE might, you can see why these people all get along, you know. The UAE might be the place that it happens. We just do not know. Trump administration officials said yesterday that this meeting could not take place without Zelensky. So the Trump administration yesterday said point blank, no Zelensky, no meeting. Well, Trump pulled the rug out from under his own people again, and later went on to say that he had changed his mind and he hadn't ruled out a meeting with Putin only. And it looks like that's what we are getting, is a meeting with Putin only. The talks with Trump. Russia will trade land. So details of the American peace plan have been published in a net, which is a Polish media outlet. According to them, Russia will trade land. Well, what land? What land do they have to trade? They have tiny little footholds in Sumy, Kharkiv, and Dnipropetrovsk. And it looks like they want to trade, roughly 200 square kilometers or so. They want to trade that, we believe, for all of the temporarily occupied territories, even the parts of the territories they are not in. Now, legitimately, they control about 90% of Luhansk, right? 90% of Luhansk. So about 10% of Luhansk is under Ukrainian control still. But in Donetsk, there are 6,500 square kilometers not under Russian control. That's 25% of the region. In Zaporizhia, it's 7.2 thousand square kilometers, not under Russian control, including the capital city of Zaporizhia City. The same is true in Kherson. Another 26% of Kherson is not under Russian control, 7,000 square kilometers, including the capital city. So the idea that somehow Ukraine is going to withdraw from roughly 30,000 square kilometers of territory that Russia has not set troops in seems insane for 200 square kilometers of toeholds in a couple of areas. It's just, it doesn't make any sense, right? And remember, Trump demonstrated very clearly with the failed minerals deal that there is only so much bullshit he can pull on Ukraine. He couldn't get the minerals deal he wanted, the neo-colonial exploitive deal. No, he couldn't get it. And I don't think he's going to be able to convince the Ukrainians to capitulate. However, there are a couple of things on the table that if Russia would agree to could move us closer. For example, Trump is saying, or the Trump administration officials are saying, this will not be so much a peace plan as a ceasefire plan. Right, exactly. Does Ukraine get to keep all of Kursk? No. No. That's not going to happen. Right? That Kursk isn't even being talked about because Putin has already said he's pushed them out of Kursk. Now, I don't know how that's going to go. Hey, Pete, welcome home. So Trump is saying, or the Polish newspapers are reporting that an element of the American peace plan is that Ukraine can still join NATO. It doesn't have to give up its NATO aspirations. European countries can still deliver weapons to Ukraine, which is really so thoughtful of the Russians that they would allow that to continue. As if they have a choice. Putin gets de facto control over the territory he occupies. So what Trump is saying is we freeze the lines where they are, and you get de facto control over what you've got so far, not the 30,000 acres. That seems to be the case. Now, one would think, if you really wanted to pressure Putin, and you just gave him a deadline of today before you slap secondary tariffs on him, that you would make sure today did not expire without slapping those tariffs on Putin, so that next week he comes to the table under the most pressure. But it looks like we're in another taco situation. It looks like Trump is going to chicken out, right? And it does not look like those sanctions will be applied. We're waiting to see, right? The day's not over yet. I guess he gave them till midnight. So we'll see what happens. The 50% tariff on India does seem to have had an effect. Well, it's not clear, right? Because before this 50% was applied to India, a full 10 days before it was applied to India, the state-owned oil refineries in India, which account for 60% of India's refining capacity, stopped buying Russian oil. So the state-controlled oil refineries in Russia in India have suspended all purchases of Russian oil during the current purchasing cycle. That's a problem for the Russians. That's a lot of money. That's millions of barrels every month that now are not being sold. And Russia has no place to store them. Russia doesn't have any storage capacity, right? The Ukrainians have been burning it up. And even before the war, they had a just-in-time delivery economy. Very little storage. They're storing it these days on the Shadow Fleet vessels, 4 of which are currently circling in the Indian Ocean because the Indians won't take delivery of the Russian oil, which is good news for all of us. Jay in Kyiv, who's a good guy. He just started a YouTube channel, and he's got a great tagline. When he's closing off, he says, "Let's hope for the worst, because the worst for Russia is the best for the rest of the world." Something like, or for humanity, something like that. It's a great tagline. Let's hope for the worst. So yeah, let's hope for the worst for Russia. Now, the IMF is downgrading Russian GDP growth for next year to 0.9%. Or I'm sorry, for this year, for 2025. Last year, it was 4.3%. This year, they're saying it'll be 0.9%, less than 1%. Now, why might this be? Well, the Moscow Times is reporting that Russia's budget deficit ballooned in July by $13 billion. Not 13 billion rubles. No, actual real money, right? It was trillions of rubles. 13 billion USD. Now, at the beginning of the summer, what budget did Putin sign off on? A budget that left Russia at the end of the fiscal year with only $48 billion deficit. Well, he blew that out of the water. They hit 48 billion in June. In June. It's now $61 billion. That's a 30%, that's 30% over the budget projection for the fiscal year. Russia is broke. They are increasingly broke. And the reason they are broke is because their tax revenues are up 2.8%, while federal spending is up 20.8%. There's an 18% differential, right? It's something like for every dollar of tax revenue that the Russians are taking in, they're spending 7. That is not going to work. That is just not going to work. Now, what else is going on? Oh yeah, this is. I'm trying to think where I saw this. I don't remember either. It's a kid. It's just a kid on YouTube, a Russian kid, if I'm not mistaken, who lives out of the country. And he reposted this video that he took off Telegram. So the video was sent by a Russian soldier to his friend. And he told his friend, Dmitry, do not release this video unless you stop hearing from me. If you stop hearing from me, it's because I'm dead. Then I want you to publish this video. So the video's been published. I think there's probably a good chance the guy is Cargo 200. What did the video say? So there is a video of a Russian soldier. He had been a member of an assault group up around Crimea. He had been the only survivor of a 44-person assault group, or so he claims in the video. He was then one of a handful of survivors of the next assault group he was in, before he was then transferred down into Donetsk someplace, where mostly he spent his time apparently shooting down drones. And he made the claim that he had shot down an unknown number of first-person view kamikaze drones, 1 Valkyrie reconnaissance drone, 1 airplane-style drone, likely a Foxbat, and 4 Baba Yagas. He goes on in the video to complain that other people got credit for this. He didn't get the awards. Other people were given awards and medals for the drones that he had shot down. He complained to his commanders about the lack of recognition and how others were getting credit for his deeds. He claimed that the ones who got credit are ass kissers, who did the commander's laundry, brought them tea, bribed them not to fight, and bought them booze. When he complains, he says he was tortured by the assistant chief of staff he identified by the call sign Poet. He was beaten, kicked. He fractured two fractured cervical vertebrae. They tied him up in an uncomfortable position for 6 hours and would occasionally beat him while he was in that position and poured bottles of urine on him. His last statement was that he was being sent to a new assault group to be zeroed out. That is to say, I said on a suicide mission that he was not expected to return from. We hear stories like this so often, and I don't have any sympathy for anybody who signed a contract for money to come to Ukraine to murder Ukrainians. I want to be very clear. I have no sympathy for these people. However, this treatment of their own people is extraordinarily revealing to me of the rot that is Russian society. We saw that commander, what was his name, Ladnov, who was fragged by his own men and accused of telling them, is this an assault group? Why are so many of you still alive? I've buried 2 assault regiments in the last year, and I will bury you by fall. I will take your death notices home to your wives, and I will fuck them. Direct quote, Ladnov. This is what it's like in the Russian army. It's insane. It's insane. Russians make the orcs look good. You're not kidding. Meanwhile, yesterday I got to spend it with the mobile air defense units of Kyiv. These guys are all volunteers. They're not regular army. They're in citizen militias. So they don't get paid. In fact, they spend their own money to buy their own equipment and gear and weapons. And then they dedicate themselves to clearing the skies over Kyiv every day and ask nothing in return. That is the difference between the two cultures that are fighting right now. In Ukraine, the contracts for 18 to 24-year-olds have been expanded to include drone specialist certifications. In return for 1 year of military service on these contracts, Ukrainian youth will receive 0% mortgages on their homes, no future conscription. They will be free from conscription concerns, and they will have the right to travel abroad. And so the Ukrainians are trying to sweeten the pot for the 18 to 24-year-olds. That is for sure. Finally, General Syrskyi was quoted by the Kyiv Post as saying, the war must end on terms that benefit us. That means we must win, not retreat. We have plans. You can't achieve victory through defense alone. He went on to say that according to information he has, in July alone, 5,000 Russian soldiers lost their lives. 20,000 targets were hit. 80% of the casualties were from drone hits. And that is it for me. That's the top line news for today. Again, I want to thank Avi, who is the sponsor of tonight's live. I did not see him in here, but he's sponsoring tonight and Monday. So thank you, Avi. Hats off to you. Big thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server, Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces, and of course to the moderator team, best moderators on the Tickety Talk, Travis, Jay, Pete, Maddie, and Feisty. You are the best. All right, so kids, we got about a half hour. Questions, comments, points of observation. It's Friday. TGIF, everybody. I hope other folks have barbecue plans this work. Thanks, Lucky. The ribs are not ready. The ribs will slow cook for about 6 hours, Anthony. And then tomorrow I'm just going to finish them on the grill. Is that Ray, Russia sent out subscriptions and a lot of people were trying to get out of the country? Drain Man, I'm not sure what you're asking there, pal. That's not entirely clear. I mean, the big outflow of Russians because of the war happened in 2022, where an estimated 1.3 million men of conscription age left Russia permanently. Thanks, Feisty. How many civilian, whoops, hang on. How many civilian casualties have there been in Russia? Do not know, Dawn. I do not have that information. You know, the problem is you can't trust any numbers that come out of Russia, right? So we just don't know. I can't imagine that it's more than 100, to be honest. I mean, I don't know, but it happens so rarely that the Russians even make that claim. So I don't know. I shouldn't make a guess like that because I don't know. I don't have good data. Ooh, that all scrolled very fast. Hang on, let me find my place here. John King wants to know what I do in Kyiv. Well, mostly, John, I correct people who call the city Kyiv. That's the Russian name. We call it Kyiv. That's the Ukrainian name. Is Trump really in charge anymore? Also having lobster. Nice, Alan. What about Moldova? What about it, Akron? You're going to have to be more specific. I mean, right now, Moldova's kind of in a holding pattern. Their elections are coming up. The Russians are trying to influence those elections to get a pro-Kremlin government in place. Transnistria continues to pull away from Putin. It's a tough scene, man. Moldova's a tough scene. My man, Van. Would Zelensky agree to current borders if Ukraine got Crimea? I don't have any idea, but that is never going to be on the table. I'm very concerned that part of this American peace plan is what Trump said before, that he's going to recognize that Crimea is Russian. And that's going to be a thing. The Ukrainians are not going to put up with. They're not going to agree to that. They're just not going to agree to that. I don't think. The Russians don't know what they're in do when they sign contracts by now. I'm not sorry for them. Yeah, no, Michael, none of us should feel sorry for these murderous, rapist pigs. We shouldn't. If Trump throws Ukraine under the bus, do you think Europe, UK, and others will step up their support? Yes, Maggie May, they already are. I mean, we're seeing it every day. Did you read about the Scot who signed up for Russia and is disillusioned? No, I did not. But it is unsurprising to me. They should well know his Russia treats them by now and should run away. Yeah. It's only called Kyiv because that was the colonists' name for the city, the Russian name. It's the only reason it's called Kyiv anywhere, because that's the Russian name, Pugga Mahone. It's Kyiv. It's actually not even Kyiv. I don't actually pronounce it properly, but that's as close as I can get as an American right now. I've got some crispy beef and salt and pepper chips on the go with a cold beer. Geez, Pete, that sounds good. In Russia, how many have died from open windows? So, Pistol Pete, if I'm not mistaken, the last number of oil and gas industry executives who have fallen out of open windows is 18, if I'm not mistaken. Now, some other folks fell out of windows too, some military guys, but mostly it was oil and gas industry executives. I don't think Russia realizes much of anything, Seawolf. I mean, they really do live in their own false reality because you have to when you live in an autocracy. If you dare to challenge the unhinged fantasies of dear leader, you go to prison for the rest of your life or just get shot. Oh, yeah, Trump is diminishing USA's power every single day. Pingu, that is my greatest fear, that this will be a tag team match between Putin and Trump on one side and Ukraine and Europe on the other. That is my greatest fear, pal. And to go back to the question of what do I do in Kyiv and why am I in Kyiv? One of the reasons is because I don't want there to be any doubt in anybody's mind which side this American was on when Donald Trump subverted the United States federal system in a coup. There is no doubt which side I'm on. I am opposed to him and everything he and his followers stand for. Oh, Feisty got Chinese. Nice. Yes, you can certainly buy beef. There's plenty of beef on the shelves. But dude, they do not cut the beef here the way that we cut it in the United States. Like the cuts of beef are different. And it is hard to find good beef. Like I'm definitely spoiled as an American. I know that. But I can get some good ribeyes or some good strip steaks down at the Mega Mart there. What about the British men caught? Crimson, no British officers of any kind or NATO officers have been captured in Ukraine. This is a Russian lie. The video is AI generated. It is not real. That is Russian disinformation. And I'm glad you brought it up because that story is going around. That some NATO officers or British officers were captured by the Russians. That is not true. It is a Russian lie. Oh, Steve-O, I'm with you. You're an idiot to trust the Russians, right? So he's an idiot. And he's such an idiot, I don't even have to say who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. There is a great deal of very positive reinforcement for me in the chat, and I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you. Amen, Mike Kelly. Drain Man, I think you're right. I think that Russia's not going to agree to these terms of the American peace deal, if these are even the terms. We don't really know, right? That's just what's being reported in one outlet, citing Trump administration officials familiar with the matter. So we shall see. Is Ukraine getting the weapons they need? Anthony, I wish I could say they are. I think they are. But, you know, I haven't been out to the front lines since last November. So I haven't really... I've talked to some people in Kyiv who are here from, you know, in on leave from the front line. But I haven't been out there to talk to anybody for real. I hope they are. I don't know if any British troops are going to be in Crimea anytime soon. I kind of wish they were, but it doesn't seem likely. Oh yeah, Henry, there's no shortages of food here. You know, I'm tempted to show you the ribs in the oven, but I don't want to open the oven door. There's not empty store shelves here or anything like that, not at all. Birdie B points out that video has been proved as fake AI. Thank you, Birdie. Thanks, Larry Kaufman. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of very positive reinforcement in the chat. Thank you. Little Red knocks it on the head. Trump can do everything he wants to try to sell out Ukraine. Getting the Ukrainians to go along with it is a different story, as the mineral deal clearly showed. Pete says, I think the Ukrainians are getting just enough weapons, but more could be done. And that's probably a fair assessment. I don't think he's wrong when he says that. Does Trump know who Neville Chamberlain is? No, Trump doesn't read and has the memory of a goldfish. He artificially constructs his own world for the purposes of self-aggrandizing himself. Which fake Putin will meet Trump? That's a good question. That is a good question. Is the real Putin even still alive? We don't know. How do they sneak equipment in without Russia seeing it? Oh, are you talking about like for things like Operation Spiderweb and stuff? My understanding, Mike Kelly, was that stuff went in through Kazakhstan. I'm not sure about that number. Morgan, I'm not sure about that number that you're saying there. Only 17% are Russian in East Ukraine. So why should Russia get it? I think that percentage actually refers to a study that was done on demographics in the east of Ukraine to support the Russian narrative that they need to protect not Russians, but Russian speakers. And in fact, that entire study was a Russian propaganda piece. So none of the data from it is valid. Michael Boucher very correctly says, there could always be more done to help, especially from the U.S. And I could not agree more. Pete, you're funny. Oh, little Red's on your side. Weibo wants fish. I have a nice piece of salmon in the freezer. Trump is Putin's Mussolini. Will the real Vlad Putin please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up. Sad, mad, bad, Vlad, please stand up. Please stand up. Anthony Tommy Tom says the whole meeting is just staged for prolong the war in Russia's favor. You could well be right, Anthony, except Ukraine's been hitting Russia so hard lately. Putin just might really need this. He might. Here's how we'll know. Will they agree to let Ukraine continue its NATO aspirations? Will they accept a freeze where the front line is rather than all of the territories? We don't know. Retreat and leave Ukraine, or face military action from an international force. The problem with that, Valley guy, is that the international will to go to war with Russia does not exist. No one is going to send their sons to die in Ukraine. It's not going to happen, pal. Not unless Putin attacks a NATO country or a Western country. Seawolf very correctly throws Russian logic back in Trump's face. Tell Trump that the UK needs to invade the US to protect English speakers. Well put. Somebody gave me a donut. Ooh, pardon me. You can congratulate them on becoming a title gifter. The only problem is I don't know what any of that means, but I wish I had a donut right now. I would love a donut right now. Here's the problem, Michael. You're not wrong. The Russian economy can't withstand a prolonged war. The other thing that it can't stand is a stop to the war. It's a war economy. What's with today's deadlines? Taco, baby. Trump chicken's out. Now, he's got until midnight, I guess, Washington, D.C. time to do something. But he's not going to. Seems unlikely anyway. We'll see what happens. What else? Oh, pardon me. Bavarian cream with chocolate icing. Oh, that sounds good. Trevor just ate 2 donuts. What kind, Trevor? Definitely taco. Canada's being a big help. There's no doubt about it, Feisty. Midnight at the Oasis. I don't know what that means, but I like the sound of it. The Witching Hour. Opinions on Sersky's recent comments. I don't have any way of fact-checking them, but his comments about Ukraine needing to win this war, I think, are correct. And I do rather think now is not the time for Ukraine to stop. Now is the time to double down. I think Sersky's right. Russia is on the ropes. And if Ukraine could just keep hitting oil infrastructure, and if the West would just enforce sanctions, that would make all the difference in the world. That would make all the difference in the world. My favorite donut is very close to it's a Boston cream, right? Which is more of a custard than a cream donut with chocolate icing. Midnight at the Oasis is a song from the 70s. I do not know it. Although I'm a little young for 70s songs. I come in the 80s. Jam inside them and delicious mug of tea. Krasnov has wimped out on the tariffs. He hasn't wimped out on the meeting yet. Putin will ask Trump to lift all sanctions, and he might do it. He might do it. Love a sour cream donut. Polkin points out that his family in Donetsk lived safely there and well 12 years ago. And now today there is no water for people to drink. There is no clean water because of the sheer incompetence and callousness of the Russian-installed government. Any info on the North Koreans? Maggie May, we don't know where those little fuckers are. They were supposed to be in Kursk by the end of July. I have seen not a single report that even a 1 has arrived. Yeah, Feisty, you are sweeter. Sorry, Little Red. Uh-oh, sorry. Tim Hortons. I don't have a lot of experience with Tim Hortons. I mean, I know I've been there when we're in Canada, but Donald nuts. Ugh. Morgan. Has Trump purchased any... Oh, pardon me. Has Putin purchased any Trump crypto? That is a great fucking question. We'll never know because that's the whole point of crypto, right? It's completely anonymous. So who knows how many hundreds of billions of dollars might have been funneled to Donald Trump to sell out Ukraine by Vladimir Putin. We will never know. Maybe Iran, yeah, right? Like Putin can't go to Rome. Can Trump go to anywhere in the Arab world with the bounty on his head from the Iranians? That's a great point. That is a great point. Time for a Rusky joke. Pistol Pete, the ruble is down from the start of the world, but it has recovered significantly as Donald Trump has crashed the US dollar. I think the last exchange rate I saw, I don't know, can somebody Google the current exchange rate? The last exchange rate I saw was 82.3 rubles to the dollar. Way up in terms of ruble value from its lows of about 117 rubles to the dollar. What do I miss most about America? I can't really say here because while it's legal in New York, California, Arizona, Oregon, Washington State, a bunch of others, Maine, it is not legal in all states. And so technically it's like a criminal thing to talk about here on the Tickety Talk. But I think you can smoke out my meaning when I talk about what I miss most about the United States. Because the shit here sucks. I mean, the swag here is garbage. It's really, really annoying. Larry Kaufman knows the inspiration for Midnight at the Oasis. I do not know this song at all. Yep. Everybody's got it. Everybody's got it. So the ruble's actually gone up since the last time I checked it, to 80 to the dollar, huh? Yeah, the ruble's done very well. Is it legal in Minnesota? It wasn't the last time I was there. But of course, that's several years ago now. That's several years ago. I love Minnesota in the late fall. Well, not late fall, before it gets really cold. There are all these wonderful city-owned parks that have hookups for your RV, and they are cheap as shit. It is so great to be able to roll into a little town in Minnesota, right along that big river as you're headed out to the Dakotas, and get a campground for like $8 a night from the municipality. And you just go there, you plug in, and there's a little like envelope stand. It's honor system. You put your $8 in the envelope, you stick it in the box. In the morning, they come around and collect them. If you're still there, they come and knock on your door. It's very civilized, very pleasant. Love Minnesota. Pizza, I found good pizza finally. Not any Chicago pizza. I haven't found any Chicago pizza here, but I have found good pizza. It's a place called Al Forno, and it's excellent. It's really excellent. Another place too, Trattoria number 5, has good pizza. Yeah, no, I get it, but it's not good. Man, in the almost 3 years I've been here now, I've taken 2 short trips to Amsterdam. Those, I guess between the 2, it was 9 days. Those were some of the best 9 days in Europe. The only reason I live in Florida. Yeah, Germany's loosened up since I've been here. Illinois, yep. Illinois is on the list. Yeah, Larry, no, I think I mentioned that the ruble is doing well because Donald Trump crashed the dollar. Clay Fry wants to know if the real Putin will show up for the meeting. Dude, it really does seem unlikely. Oh, ice cream here is terrible too. Oh, but I found some really good gelato. There's a place called the Gelati Place. And so it's not exactly American ice cream, but it is an excellent treat. Which islands, Akron? I've been to some great islands. Jamaica's a great island. The Bahamas are great islands. What's that island right off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, Costa del Playa? Hawaii, of course, is a great set of islands. Even the British islands are not bad islands. So I've spent some time in the islands, bro. Anthony, the question of power here it's really been incredible, dude, how they keep the lights on, how they have recovered. Now, of course, all due respect to Lithuania, who has been very helpful with this, the recovery from the devastation of the power grid by the Russians last winter has meant that I don't think we had a power outage all summer. Not one, which is really great. Reykjavik, baby. Oh, I've never been to Iceland. I do want to go there. Yeah, no, I was always happy to stuff my $8 in those boxes. It is always happy. It's a great deal. Now, of course, that's a few years ago. Maybe I shouldn't say that. The prices have undoubtedly gone up. Love me a space cake. Germany is a grower's paradise. Well, Pingu, maybe if the Russians do send 150,000 troops over the border from Belarus, maybe I'll grab my seeds and go to Germany. My God, I have so many fond memories of the Dairy Queen. Love a space cake. Iceland. Are you Jamaican, Little Red? Maximum respect, little sister. Ha! You are not wrong, Sammy. I once bought mushrooms out of a vending machine in Amsterdam. They had little descriptors on them and everything. It was hysterical. Never been to Guam. Never been to Guam. I used to have a good friend from Guam, but never been there. My AC is working great. I'm so happy about it. I sure you do, Anthony. Neato. God, I haven't had a banana split in a million years. Probably not since my son was about 5. Down at the shore one day at this ice cream place we used to go to. Okay, guys, it's just about the top of the hour. It's Friday. I want to thank everybody for joining me for this live. Our buddy Avi, who's the sponsor of tonight's live, thank you so much, is going to be sponsoring Monday as well, but then I have no more sponsors for next week. So if anybody can sponsor a live next week, PayPal's in the description. Or if you follow the channel and you would like to help out, join the Patreon. Even if you can't kick me $5 a month, get a free Patreon account. There's more information over there. So thank you. Big thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server, Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces, and a big thank you to the best moderator team on the Tickety Talk, Jay, Pete, Travis, Feisty, and Maddie. And it sure is nice to see Feisty around. So I'm glad your schedule has realigned with us, Feist. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Chrissy. Thanks, Maggie May. Thanks, Abuya. Etten Portions. You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks, Feisty. Heroam Slava, Akron. Thanks, Nicola. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Take care.